Hello everyone, as I promised, so here we are with yet another video in our series AWS Zero to Hero. So in last video, I have talked about the user, root user, and it is recommended practice that you should never use the AWS root account for creating any services. Reason being behind very simple, if someone gains the unauthorized access, then he will be able to create all sort of services, and we without knowing to us our bill can shoot up like anything. I have seen some of the compromise scenarios wherein the AWS cost has went to 4 lakhs 5 lakhs in a single night because someone has stolen the credentials for the root user, and he had spawned lot of servers for bitcoins and mining activities, right? So in order to avoid such situation, it is recommended from AWS itself that do not use any root account for creating or using your day-to-day services. So today's topic is related to creating the IAM user. So this is the user which we are going to use from now onwards. So in today's section, we are going to build a IAM user, right, with all the permission, whatever are necessary for our upcoming classes. But from now onwards, you will be using that account only, not the user account. So what exactly is the IAM user account, right? So consider the scenario. If you are a owner of any company, right, you have a master key for that office, right? So it has all the access. You being a founder, you have all the access of every corner of your company. Now if 2 or 3 new people joins your organization, right, one being a developer, one in from the marketing team, one is peon or some office staff, right, if they joins to the organization, so if you provide that master key to everyone, so everyone will have access to the everything, right? So you can consider the chaos what will happen, right? They will have all the accesses to the drawers, important files, important documents, server room, all the accesses will be shared, right? We don't want that chaos in our company. So instead of that, you have a concept of ID cards, right? So give the permission to the appropriate user to only that department. So the finance user can access the finance cabin only. Developer can access the room where the developers sit, right? Peon can have access to the storeroom only. So like this way we can segregate the permissions based on their job role, right? So the same concept we are applying it over here. So the root account, you can consider it as a master key of all the accesses, right? We don't want to give the master key to everyone. So instead of that, we are creating the individual access based on their job role, right? So in today's session, we are going to see what exactly IAM user is, how to create the IAM user, and how we can apply the policies based on their job role. So IAM is mostly asked topic in any one of the AWS interview. So if you understand the IAM users clearly, so you can consider like 30% of the interview is done, right? So make sure that you follow along with me and create the IAM user that I am showing it to you. Okay. So in order to do that, first we have to go to the IAM, right? You can, as I mentioned, you can directly search from the search bar, right? I will search for IAM. Now I will go to this IAM service. It is one of the service wherein we will manage our users, groups, policies inside this particular service, right? On the right hand side, if you see, there is a 12-digit account number, right, or the account ID. So whenever we are signing in as a user, not as a root account, whenever we are signing in as a user, we have to give this particular account ID, right? It's somewhat difficult to remember all these 12 characters. So instead of that, there is a concept of account alias, right? Click on create. So give the preferred alias. For example, I will give Akruti AI prod, right? And so that whenever the users are trying to sign in with their IAM credentials or with their credentials, they have to log into the Akruti AI-prod.signin.aws.com, right? So this will be the URL for logging for all the users, right? So instead, as I mentioned, instead of remembering this 12 digit every time, we will be using the alias for our account for the login purpose. So I will click on create alias. So the alias has been created, right? It's a one-time activity. You don't need to do it again and again, right? Now, once the account alias is created, if on the left-hand side, there is access management tab. In the access management, first we will try to create the group, right? What exactly is the group? So for example, I can create a user, assign a permission as per his job role. Okay. So for example, in my organization, if developer is joining, so I can create a developer account, right? User X, for example, if he is joining my organization, so I will create an account for user X. I will share the credentials with him. He can change the credential on first login, and he can able to use that account in order to create all the services inside our AWS. Consider if there are 10 developers joining my organization. So it's a bad practice to assign the permission to each and everyone, right? Instead of that, we have a concept of groups. So I will create a developer group first, and I will assign a particular policy which is intended for a developer user, right? Same way we can give access to the marketing people, right? So if they want to use some of the services, so for marketing, I can create another group and so on, right? So if I click on IAM user group, right now our account is clean, right? It's a clean slate, nothing is there. So I will create a group. For creating a group, I will give the name developers, right? And then we have to, this is optional, like add users to the group. We are creating a group itself, right? So we don't want to create a group. We don't want to add a nested group. So I will just skip this step, right? It's anyway optional. So I have given the group name as developer, and I will now attach the policy, right? There are different type of policies which are already been created by Amazon for you, right? So there are around 1150 policies, right, which you can assign based on the services. So you can consider for each service there is one policy. So around 1000 plus services are there for the Amazon, right? So what I will do, I will select for power user, right? What exactly is the power user? So as a developer, if you want access to S3 for EC2 instances, for creation of the databases, so the power user will have all these accesses. For now, we will be okay with the power user, right? For our tutorial purpose, we can give the power user access, but in real production scenario, you will allow only those accesses which are necessary for the functioning of that user, right? So it is called as least privileges access, right? The strategy is least privileges. So assign only privileges which are required for the job role, right? Do not assign all the permission or the policies to the individual user, right? So I will, for a tutorial purpose, I am going to give the power user access to this particular group, developers group, right? So apart from the IAM account access, right, this power user access will grant all the service access to the user who is part of this group. Okay, so I have selected the power user access, and I will create a user group over here. Now the developer group has been created. Now the next step is creating a user. Okay, so I will go to the users. I will click on create user. I will give the name, for example, Jayesh Prod, right? Do I need to have access to my management console, or I just need a programmatic access? That you can define it over here, right? For me, I need AWS management console access because it will be easy for me to create the services, right? For accessing the different areas, for creating the different services as per my use case. So I am giving access to the AWS management console for this Jayesh-prod user, right? You can either use auto generated password, or you can also enter the custom password, right? So for now, I will use the custom password. Whenever you select the auto generated password, right, so AWS will generate the password for you, right? And that password will be used by the user for the first time login. There is an option user must create a new password at the next sign in. So this box will make sure that whenever this Jayesh-prod is trying to access his account, right, he must create a new password for the sign in, right? So checking this box is not mandatory, but it's a recommended practice, right? But for me, I know like what exactly is the password, so I don't want to change it again and again, so I will just skip this particular part, right? I will go next. It is asking me to add a user to particular group, right? So we have already created a group with the name as developers, so I will just give the group access to this particular user. The group name is developer, and accordingly the policy which has been derived or inherited for this group is PowerUserAccess. That has been already been seen over here, right? I will go next. Now as you can see, we have to review and it will create the particular user, right? So Jayesh dash prod is the username. He is a part of developers group, right? And we have given the power user access to this particular user or to this group and ultimately to this user, right? I will click on create user. So user has been created successfully, right? So here this is the URL, right, that needs to be accessed in order to log into our AWS account with this IAM user, right? Username is jayesh-prod and password, we can get the password, right? I can download the CSV file and I can provide this CSV file which contains the credential for this user to log in, right? So as a best practice, what we will do, we will send this file to the user, right, via any secure medium, so that he will have the sign in URL, username and password, right? So for me, I will just copy the sign in URL, right? I will go to the incognito window and I will go to this URL, sign in URL, right? I will give the username, I will give the password which I have set it already, and I will click on sign in. Boom, you are successfully logged in to Akruti AI prod account with the user named as Jayesh-prod, right? So this is the new user that we have created, right? And from now onwards, for each and every task, we are going to use this Jayesh-prod user instead of root user account. So you can change the region. We are using AP-South-1, right? So this is the region which is closest to me. I will choose this region, right? And this page has reloaded. Now I can search for any particular services and I can spin up those services. For example, if I want to create EC2 instances, if I want to create a S3 bucket, accordingly, based on my requirement, I will be able to spin up those services in my AWS account, right? So in today's class, what we have learned is do not use the root user for spinning up any services. Do not use the root user account for your daily use. Do not use the root user for spinning up the services every day, right? Instead of that, it's a one-time activity to have a root user account, and we have already secured the root user with the MFA, right? So from now onwards, we have created a IAM user which is of the name as Jayesh-prod. He is a part of developers group and he has access of power user, right? So apart from IAM, right, he will be having all the accesses for all the services, right? So accordingly, we have created, so as you can see, as I mentioned, like apart from IAM, he is having services to everything. So access denied to this particular user. Why? Because it's a power user, right? IAM accesses is not there. That means that user is not able to create any new users, new permission he will be able to assign, right? He is not able to do that activities, and that is the sole purpose of creating the IAM user. I hope it is clear to you, right? Thanks for joining. Yesterday I got a comment that some of you have already created the root account user, as well as you have enabled the MFA for root account, right? As we have discussed in lecture 2, right? Good job guys. Keep practicing, and surely we will reach to one point wherein you will be able to successfully crack any AWS related interviews, as well as you will be able to crack the AWS certification, basic certification like the solution architect certification without any worry, right? Thanks for joining today. Thanks. Have a great day. Bye bye.